You're listening to What No One Told Us, a podcast about the stuff we carry, the stories we live by, and the things we wish someone had said out loud. Real conversations, no quick fixes, just a space to pause, reflect, and maybe feel a little less alone. So, whether you're on a walk, making the school run, hiding with a cuppa, or on the long drive to work, settle in. We are glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for doing the night session.
No worries at all. You're a busy man now these days, huh?
Oh man, it's like it doesn't stop now.
Let me make a note of this.
Oh well, we were talking about the sacrifices that you have to do. That
Yeah.
and what I was trying to say as well is that I was probably one of those. Eventually, I wasn't there, and I wasn't like that, but I could probably be one of those guys going to the Crow Lounge in Tauranga and pretending to. Not pretending, but doing using all those services because when
That's
you
what
can
you do.
afford it, you do it. Yeah, and that's the. But yeah, but then the realization that those services and those extra things you do, it doesn't do anything. Like to be honest, it doesn't contribute to happiness. It only gives you food or for some people might be status, or some people practicality, or like a way of keep working or
Mm.
or to have a rest in your busy agenda. Um, hmm.
So, of all the sacrifices that you're talking about, which was the hardest?
Oh, the marriage, yeah, yeah, that was like, whoa, that was. Yeah, I felt like breaking my heart. I felt like my heart, like literally breaking. Yeah, I didn't know how to do it and what to do.
But you knew that you had to.
I knew that I had to, and I had to, and I got a coach. I've done it with a coach helping me, which was amazing because it allowed me to follow a choice path and 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 be with my emotions, but not using my emotions in the in the decision, right?
Mm.
Not getting caught because it's very hard. It's a super hard thing to do.
Of course.
Um, so, especially as I said to you, and it's a lot of there was there was money involved, there was the status, there was like looking good and all of that.
It sounds to me like when you say your heart was breaking, it was breaking because it was getting pulled in different directions. You know?
Oh, it was like there's a feeling of the selfishness, a feeling that you're doing it to because you need that in your life, and then okay, but I need to fuck everybody else's life, like.
Right.
And or come out with this to my kids and well, especially my wife telling all of this, and it was that comment about who do you think you are, Diego, to do all of this, and why you can't do something to continue, right?
Is that an internal comment or was that a
Yeah, yeah,
comment?
yeah. That's the thought, that's
A
the
thought?
concept.
Yeah, a judgment.
That's what you're dealing with.
Right. Yeah.
At least what I was dealing with. And what are you going to do now? But why are you doing this? Why are you sacrificing all of this? Why are you doing it? But well, be inside of me, it was real. It was very real. I needed to do it. I was killing myself. But there's unhappiness. I was far away from who I think I am, or I was. I mean, who I think I am. I was far, far away. I was, and it's a lot of unhappiness.
How many men out there do you think are unhappy like that, Diego?
Oh
I know.
man, men and women. It's not but yeah, lots of people, because most of us don't know how we don't know how to be with someone else. We don't know. We try. We try our best, all right? And for some couples things are amazing, and they work together, and they they fight, and they get where they want to go. But for some other couples, the gap keeps increasing, all right? And there's a lot of willingness to keep everything together, but unavoidable, that gap in between both lives keeps growing,
Mhm.
and you fill it up with try to distract yourself with other things, all right, with achievements, with trips, with dinners, gifts. I'm talking about such a in a personal way. I'm not sure if this is related to other people, but
You mean you're talking from your own experience?
yeah, from my own experience, you try, to create a new thing, or something to look forward to, another trip, or we doing a renovation in the house, or we something to see if that gap can be narrowed, or there is a way of finding each other again, and yeah, I and there are many ways of doing it. There's therapies, there's way, but sometimes there's no way back.
Did you feel the feeling was mutual?
I won't. It's very hard for me to talk about her and Andrea, because it's not she's not here, and I don't know. I can say that.
Mm.
I'll tell you that. But obviously, I have a lot of um. I have a lot of gratitude for her for understanding me, understanding what I came up with, and and yeah, and in a very short time she understood, which was incredibly amazing for me, because you never know. Somebody comes with this, and maybe at the end she was in the same boat as I was, but I cannot say that. I'm not sure.
So having this time now to go away, and you said that you mentioned that you got some support and you got a coach to help you through that process, and then you've done a lot of personal work since then on yourself, maybe finding yourself again. Can we
Yeah, because
say
when
that?
I was on my own, I kept my habits, and suddenly I said, okay, cool, you've done all of this, and everything is fine. And now, what's the problem, Diego? Why you keep doing these things? Like, why?
So you're saying that you left the marriage, but you were still maintaining some of those other habits that you had yet to let go of?
Yes, correct. And I'm sort of something. I was still been dealing with things. So, and then I got another coach, and I started to tackle the well-being, all right, and the
Yeah.
well-being means the diet, and habits like alcohol and cigarettes and all of that. And I went through that, and suddenly I dropped like 15 kilos or something, but just for changing those habits. And then I started to create the person that I wanted to be, and how I wanted to look, and what I wanted to do, and what lights me up, and all of those things. And those things I had to do it on my own. I couldn't do it in the family. I couldn't do it. No, I couldn't think of doing it as a couple. And yeah, and then I had other experiences, and I started like some more spiritual practices and things like that, and yeah, and I started to find uh, places in myself that remind me to the original Diego, or look like the original Diego, or a Diego far more pure. or so I started to get more comfortable with myself, more comfortable with my choices, more comfortable in my body, more comfortable with who I am.
More comfortable in general.
In general, yeah, and I started to unlearn things, unlearn thoughts, unlearn beliefs. Um,
Unlearn
yeah,
as well.
unlearn. Yeah, just just say that's not true.
Yeah. For a long time, you thought those things were true.
Yeah, correct. And then yeah, I'm going and trying to find more and more of those things and and yeah.
Diego, we touched on something just before. I made a note of it because it kind of stood out for me. I just want to ask a clarification on it when we were discussing specifically your marriage, but you said something like people don't know how to be with another person. Do you,
Ooh,
what do you mean by
that's
that?
oh, that's a big comment. That's a big comment. What I tried to say is that
I think I kind of understand it, but I want to invite you to just elaborate a little from your understanding a bit, if you
what
can.
I'm trying to say is that for many of us, I believe it's not a generality, but at least for me, the way of sharing a life with someone was built in was build it as we go. All right, I did not have an experience, so I did not know how to do it,
Right,
or what to look for, or the connection. All right, I so for example, now I understand more about soul connections and or heart connections or intellectual connections, or but I wasn't aware of any of those things before. So I I went into a relationship for a range of reasons, all right? Well, because you like the person, because you admire the other person, because um
there must be a sexual attraction as well.
or sexual attraction or admiration of the other person have something that you don't have, and you
Yes,
and 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 you feel like you complement each other, and or you're looking, yeah. And but but now I can say that, but yeah, never aware of that.
right.
Why am I here? Why am I getting married? Why am I creating a family on, and what am I, and there is no sort of, there's not a lot of build up together, right, on that relationship, or understand that as a couple. Um, Not a lot of work as a couple on those topics as well.
Yeah.
Yes, there was understanding. In my case, we were, without being very, I know we were very, very good organizing stuff. We were we were great at generating stuff. We were making things done. We were very good on all of that.
Hmm.
And yeah, the administration of the house and everything was amazing. There was it's a great mom, and yeah, all of that was going very well. Yeah.
So now that you are a bit more aware, do you ever think about how you would show up in the marriage again if that was a scenario? Just
That's a question, and it's actually something that I'm currently working on what happens on a potential, not on the on my marriage.
hmm.
I cannot undo things. What I'm saying is, in a potential relationship or serious relationship, I'm actually working on that, like, as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do I like? Well, what am I looking for? Do I really want this on that, or I still carry um, things from the past, or beliefs and things like that. So yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, one thing I've learned in my current marriage is what it means to be a husband or a man, or what it means to um, to show up in that role. And that is a work in progress as well, for sure. Something that I don't always get right, but I did really, I think both of us have taken some time to reflect on our own stuff and how we bring that into the relationship in order to be a little bit more compatible.
Mm.
So when you said to me before, people don't know how to be with another person, I was almost thinking in a way like, in my experience, I think it's become easier the more that we've got to know our own selves as people.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
As I've started a process of transition and transformation and getting to know myself better, the real me, or let's just say maybe not the real or the final version of me, but something a little lower than the outer shell that was before, right? The layers that we put upon ourselves. Um, Something that I'm a little bit more aligned with, in other words. Um, she has kind of been doing the same journey too. Now we've been doing this in the same household, and we're still mother and father of two children, and at times that's been difficult, right?
Mm.
Both parents sort of going through a transformation like parallel train tracks, right? It's been interesting though, because I think in many ways, while it has been difficult, it's been there's been a lot gained from that process as well. Um,
Good.
because we've become more secure in ourselves and understanding of ourselves as opposed to being more insecure. So when the little clashes inevitably arise from our conflicting personalities, there's a little bit more armistice, a little bit more room for peace or passing, acceptance, room, so that in the past it would have been ultimately a clash and then a boom and then a long period of, both of us retreating into our little worlds and sort of continuing along. Right. And then eventually we'll reconvene. But now that very rarely happens, because when the little sparks happen, I guess we've got a couple of rules or values that we follow in order to make sure that those little sparks don't become bigger. We can kind of work through them a little bit more in the moment. Um, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's super cool and well done actually, because that's gold. Like if you are able to both do that, because also it's a very humbling exercise. You need to actually let go of what triggers you.
Yes, exactly. Let go. That's a perfect word to describe it.
You need to let go of being right.
Yes, absolutely. Completely.
Um,
That's so true. Yes.
but I got a question that for you about the manhood, about being a man, and that's something. When you ask me about what would you do, I'm actually interested now on my masculinity and how to show up as a man, which I don't have that concept. I don't know. Sometimes I thought that my feminine side was very important to get on, with women and all of that, and suddenly I could never identify exactly my masculine side, or who I am as a man, and it's some work that I have to do, and I know where to go, but I need to take time. But what is that for you?
I think the best way to describe it would be to point you in the direction of a book that I read by a guy called David Dida. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. So I read that a few years back, and it really did change my life, change my whole perspective of what it means to be a man in 21st century. Um, and it taught me a lot about the concept of masculine and feminine energy, and how in a partnership or in a relationship we we often bring different energies at different times. Now, it's not to say that one or the other is good or bad. I think we actually have equal parts of both, masculine and feminine. I won't go into all the detail. I would definitely recommend you read that book as a great place to start. But I think the biggest takeaway for me, there's two concepts that came out of that book for me, is that to be a man, the most important thing above all else is purpose. And that goes above relationships, even relationships with your kids. Once I understood that as a concept, but then actually applied it in my life, understanding it as a concept was one thing. But actually applying it in my life looked like starting to say no and putting myself first and my purpose first over all the should haves, would have, could haves noise in my mind going, oh, I need to be playing with the kids. I need to be doing more with my kids. I need to be paying more attention to my wife. It started to look a little bit more like, well, I've done a little bit of that, but now I need to focus on my purpose because that is the most important thing for me in order for me to feel like a man, is that I have a sense of purpose. There is a direction in my life now that means something to me. And I talk about it a little bit earlier, now being in the service of others, helping men, and creating space for men as they search, possibly in a similar spot to where I was a few years ago. Um, and that's my purpose now, and that's a passion for me. So that's the first thing. Understanding what that looks like is really important. Um, Accepting that it's okay to put your purpose first and foremost above everything else, even in a relationship. Now, that's not to say that you don't pay any attention to the people in your life. That's just to say that it's okay to spend a lot of your time working towards that, even at the sacrifice of others, because it's your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as long I guess as long as the people in your life understand that.
Yes, that is an important part, and thank you for pointing that out. Um, According to David Dieter, the most attractive thing that a woman will find in a man is one that knows his purpose and is willing to follow it.
Yes.
So yes, she's more than happy with it. And the second thing is the role that I play for the woman in my life, and that looks a lot different to what it used to be. I think in the past I used to fall into the trap of trying to solutionize the problems my woman was having in her life. When I came to realize that the best thing I could do for my wife when she was needing me was to just shut the F up, hold space for her, and then give her a hug. It's a simple formula that I don't always get right, but when I do, it's gold. It's kind of like a less is more, right? And I think in the past, if my wife was needing from me, like she came to me with a particular problem, I'd be like, well, okay, well, let's now go into solving mode. Have you tried this? Why don't you do this? What about that? Um, and what I got from the book was that actually what they really want is us to just listen, reflect what it is that you're hearing so that they feel that you get it, empathize, um, say as as least as less as possible, and then um, when they need it, potentially if they're emotional or anything like that, just lean in and give them some contact, like a hug, and say, you know what, honey, it's going to be all right. And when I was reading the book, I was like, no way it can be that simple. But I tried it, and it works. It really does. Well, it works for me anyway. Again, I'm only speaking from experience, but those are the two main things I pulled out of that book. So there's many other wonderful things about understanding masculine and feminine and the roles of each, and particularly how those energies have become a little distorted in the 21st century. and that the traditional masculine roles are starting to be a bit lopsided. Women are starting to take on more of that masculine energy, going out, getting corporate high-level jobs, pumping weights at the gym. They're go, go, go. They're very goal-orientated, A lot of those roles and energies typically have been reserved for men in the past, and now seeing a lot more men at home, raising the children and doing all that, and a shift. And that's not to say that either of those things is good or bad. It's just currently, it's there. It seems to be a bit of a shift. So that's a really interesting thing in the book as well.
Yeah, I thank you, Lloyd. That was awesome. I wish I could have done at least a couple of times that in my marriage. But I was probably far away from doing any of that.
Yeah, and like I said, I still get it wrong. Like this morning was a classic example. My wife is running her own business at the moment. It's very challenging for her at times, and she often needs me, particularly when she's feeling, anxious or overwhelmed with everything. And yeah, this morning I kind of missed the boat. I think maybe I was just a bit triggered myself, and I went into that solutionizing, problem-solving mode and forgot everything that I just told you. So, but the difference is that I went and had a shower, and then when I got out the shower, I went over and I said, "Oh, look, I did it again. I'm sorry. What, let's here's a here's a hug." So I kind of quickly made amends. So again, there's like there's more awareness there that
Yeah,
when I do screw it up, I kind of can rectify it pretty easily.
I guess what you said, yeah, the awareness is the goal, though, right? It doesn't this is for this topic, but for anything in life, it doesn't really matter what you do, and as long as you're aware of what you're doing, and then you do something about it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, awareness is everything. I mean, it like taking that example, like just being with your wife and just holding the space for her instead of going into problem solving mode like a lot of us men do, kind of really is really peaceful. It really takes a lot of the pressure off. And actually you can find you can apply that principle to so many things in your life. The same thing with your kids. Your kids are coming to you with problems from school. Same thing. What do they need from you? They just need you to shut up and listen.
yeah.
And that is such a simple, powerful thing I believe has worked wonders for me in my relationships, and not only with my kids and my wife, but also with myself. And when I'm talking about a relationship with myself, I'm talking about the relationship with the thoughts in my head that can often be very scary and very frustrating and confrontational. And often I have to apply the same theory. Okay, so well, let's just sit with this for a second, and maybe there's something that I need to pay attention to.
Beautiful.
And again, same principle. Rather than resisting or trying to problem solve, and going into that looping cycle of fighting with your own thoughts, like you were talking about earlier. It's just hands off, and you go, well, okay, I'm having this experience right now.
Yes.
There's nothing I need to do. Yeah, it's just it's incredibly empowering, as daft as that may sound, because it sounds probably to the audience like there's no power in that because I'm not taking control. I'm actually letting go. But it is very empowering because all of a sudden I'm actually in control. The thoughts can just do their own thing. I don't have to solve the problem. I don't have to solve my kids' problems. I don't have to solve my wife's problems.
No.
I just have to hold space with empathy, with genuine listening. And yeah, sure, if they ask for my opinion on something, Well, Dad, what do you think I should do? Then that's an invitation. Well, son, I think you should help your mum out a bit more around the house and start doing the dishes. But up until that point, I'll probably just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I wonder why we want to solve the problems. I wonder where does come from. But maybe it's a big conversation. But where does it come from that we want to solve the problem? That we and it's so hard not to try to solve the problem.
Well, put yourself in a previous experience that you've had when you've tried to solve a problem with yourself or with another person. Can you think of something?
Hmm. Oh, that's a good question. Uh, yeah, you're not allowing any process. You try to cut emotions. You try to fix something that needs to develop and it needs the space, as you say. And and then it's a roller coaster of thoughts. It's all about thinking. The problem solving thing is thinking, and there's not many emotions attached to that. So it's basically the solution buries the feeling. It doesn't contemplate the feeling. It's like suppress the feeling. So the feeling never end, never release. It's still there. So the solution doesn't address the feeling.
Is that
That's
because the feeling is not a pleasant one?
no, but what I'm saying is that when you try to bring a solution, what you're doing basically suppressing the feeling. You're not listening to the feeling. You are it's all thoughts. It's not.
Hmm.
So that's why when you present a solution to a woman that is feeling the same, a woman or yourself that is feeling a certain way, you don't need a solution. You need to actually embrace that feeling and be understood on that feeling, and then
Mm.
you can actually move move along.
Yeah, I guess you're not getting swept away with. You're also, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting
I
one.
mean, this is at the moment this is a very basic way of trying to understand that, but
Mm,
I haven't read about it or anything. Why
mm,
we offer solutions
mm.
as it costs to the other person, or when you bring solutions instead of listening or empathizing.
Yeah, I think the avoidance of feeling you're onto something there, but it has to be, I guess, an unpleasant feeling that we're trying to avoid, right? We wouldn't want to be avoiding pleasant feelings. If we're solutionizing or problem solving, it's probably because we're dealing with a problem.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, it's just something that I will reflect on it.
Mm.
But you're right. It is about the listening, the space, and and the connection. Yeah, and offer a connection, and offer a support.
Yeah, well, maybe we can put it out into the audience to solve that one for us. I'll put it in the show notes and then run a poll because you can do that in Spotify. And then if anyone's got any ideas, they can let us know. I'm going to make a note of it here. Why do we go straight to problem solving instead of just holding space? It is a good question, but I actually don't have the answer.
Yeah, I tried to find one, but
Yes. Well, we've covered some pretty interesting ground again today.
yeah, that was super cool.
Any takeaways before we wrap up tonight's session? Anything that stood out for you?
No, for me, I like. Well, it was definitely a very vulnerable conversation for me. Um, and yeah, because I wasn't very I wasn't very proud of my separation of
Yeah.
um and I'm I'm proud of how he ended up and how we collaborated and how we are at the moment. But I wasn't proud of the on that moment. It wasn't something that I would have thought or wanted to do it. But it was also liberating in a way and allowed me to do many other things for myself and in order to be a better person for everybody else. And still the conversations and the dialogue is open as well with Andrea and with my kids, so all about all of this. So I feel very fortunate that I could go through this without a conflict and
Yeah.
also have the freedom to talk about it here. Mm.
There's a lot in that last statement there, having the freedom to be able to talk about it here. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and willing to go there. It sounds like there's been a lot of sacrifices, but there's also been a lot gained through the sacrifice.
Mm. Yes, for sure. And I also I would like to add to say to you as well, like we haven't spoken about you and your wife and Mariana, and I'm not jealous. I'm actually very happy for you guys to be doing what you're doing and to applying all the wisdom that you're getting and working towards, um, improving the situation towards your purpose in life and who you want to be, right? So not losing yourself in the relationship,
Yeah.
actually boosting yourselves as individuals and
Mm.
and the relationship. So I'm very happy for you because it's a beautiful thing to discover and actually to work on while you are in a relationship, because sometimes it's too late.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds for you as you take this whole experience forward into new relationships. And you were talking a little bit about that before, about the learnings and what maybe you will not do differently, but I guess as a different person, you're going to show up in a different way automatically, right?
Yes, well, I already have. This is something I'm looking for already. I'm actually looking very closely. I already have three relationships that were intended to be, deep and serious, and they were. But I felt like I failed, like as a to show up with that with what I really would like, how I really would like to show up, and it is related to how to be a real man in the so I felt like I could still need to learn a lot. So um that's why now I'm choosing to be on my own for
Mm,
a while and I don't know for how long, but I mean trying to work on that because
yeah,
um it's not difficult, but it's not easy either.
yeah,
So um, it requires some self knowledge and also it requires that the right frame, the right context as well, on emotional context of myself. I need to know myself a little bit more
mm,
to and and yeah, and I don't regret any experience that I have because I learned a lot. I learned heaps and heaps. So, but yeah, at the moment, this is the time to probably grab the book that you recommend.
yeah. I'll check it. I'll flick it through to you, and I'll also put it in the show notes. So if anyone's interested, they can read it. It's a great book, and yeah, I got a lot of value from it.
And I know also there are different retreats for men that are obviously I enrolled a couple of times, but I didn't go to the Mankind project, and there are a few other ones that offer a similar work about work on manhood and brotherhood, and so there are spaces for that. So if anybody is interested, there are resources.
Yeah, there are. If you're in that, if you're searching, then there is definitely help and support out there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was awesome.
Fantastic. Well, we'll leave it there until next time.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lloyd.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful chat.
Thanks for listening to What No One Told Us. If anything in today's episode landed with you, stirred something, or made you feel seen, we are glad you're here. Lloyd and Diego are always open to connecting, and you'll find links to reach out, follow along, or learn more in the show notes. If you are enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe on Spotify and follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay connected between episodes. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.